Let's jump into our next story, which is Outrage erupts over an inaccurate video depicting the UAE. So a recently circulated video on social media has ignited a firestorm of backlash due to its content. The video, which inaccurately portrays the city, the police force, and spreads misinformation, has not gone unnoticed by the UAE Ministry of Interiors. UAE locals and residents took to Twitter to raise the alarm and alert the UAE Ministry of Interiors about the problematic video. Outraged by its inaccuracies, they demanded that action be taken against this misleading portrayal of the oil-rich country.
The video in question was shared originally on TikTok. It showcases a stranded car in the desert, caught in a moment of desperation. Enter a female police officer who arrives in a flashy red Ferrari cop car. Upon discovering that the stranded motorists are out of fuel, the lady cop performs an inexplicable feat.
So from seemingly nowhere, she pulls out a fuel line as if, conjured from a hidden gas compartment in the desert. And she then proceeds to refuel their vehicle, declaring confidently, "In our country, no problem with gas." While this may seem like an entertaining plot twist, it quickly sparked outrage among social media users. And of course, netizens wasted no time expressing their dismay and alarm. One user aptly raised a critical point, questioning the potential consequences of the video's misinformation.
Acknowledging the concerns of netizens, the UAE Ministry of Interior promptly responded with a message aimed at basically assuaging the public that the matter had already been referred to the relevant authorities. So this proactive approach demonstrated the MOI's commitment to upholding the truth and preserving the reputation of the UAE. So in light of these events, the public prosecution has stepped forward to remind social media users, and we actually had this similar conversation yesterday, to exercise caution. So whatever you're posting, adhere to the legal and also ethical, moral regulations and uphold the moral regulations of the country when sharing social media content.
I mean, this is so interesting because the video, at first glance, personally, I would think it's just like, a spoof. Obviously, you cannot pull out like a fuel line from the middle of nowhere in the desert and just like refuel a car. So I would take it very lightly, but obviously, it's like with these kind of contents, it can be perceived in so many different ways. And we shared this on our Instagram. And of course, like people there itself just showed how divided the internet was. It's like, why would you waste time making such horrible content that gives misinformation? And some are like, okay, grow a sense of, just have a sense of humor. It's totally fine. Like, it's just basically a parody as to like an oil-rich country. Why not? It's, at the end of the day, people have done worse. So why is this something that they're getting in trouble for? So it's like, you have both sides.
I think at the end of the day, the internet can be anything you want it to be. It can be funny, emotive, strict, serious, lighthearted. However, when it comes to the image of the country, we know how important it is to uphold. There's a sense of responsibility there on residents. The majority of us don't live here. We are all residents rather than citizens. We have visas, and therefore we have to understand what, as Ministry of Interior said, what are the legal and ethical regulations that we need to adhere to. And therefore, in terms of speaking about the country, we have to be careful what we say. Yeah. So even though this isn't a particularly demoralizing video, it does stereotype the city in some way, and therefore it shouldn't be done.
Honestly, I mean, I agree with you. I think the only issue with this video is the fact that they showed authorities, people in like authoritative figures.
Exactly.
Just giving, had they not shown the female cop, had they just shown a normal person coming and pulling the fuel thing, I think it would have been a very different scenario than showing it as like, okay, a UAE official is doing this.
100%,
and
yeah.
like tying in two different
That's
things.
a really good point, because I think with all the safety videos we see, if we saw a spoof or a parody that involves someone in authority, that's basically saying, oh, the authorities are ensuring this, when you can't ensure the safety that people on social media are shouting about so much these days. 100%. And it's actually concerning, because then I think people will really, we live in a bubble, people will make it a double bubble in terms of the safety, but that's not something that can be guaranteed. So I think you're so right in terms of the parody, in one sense, okay, but including the authorities in it is just not okay.
But then if you look at it again, the authorities are like, they're not in the colors of the UAE, what the UAE police force actually wear. But
if it's a video that's going viral, you just need to be careful if it's created here in the UAE, I guess.